Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And as you can see in the background, there is already the Net Eliason, or Eliasson, whatever it might be, .com site, or yes, .com site. We're going through another book summary. Yesterday I started with, what was it called? It was called Infinite Jest, or Jest, by David Foster Wallace. I've come to the conclusion that it does not really make sense to go through this book on a podcast because it is non-fictional and it is very Net Eliason already said in this like really small paragraph. It's incredibly written, deeply complex, confusing as hell. So when he says the book itself is already confusing as hell, then it is no wonder that having excerpts, sometimes just sentences from the book, one after another, is even more just, I actually want to say disturbing, but it is very confusing. So let's go through something else. Let's just, scroll the Cloud Atlas, Salt-Fed ASIC on writing well. This is already something I went through before. The Black Swan, Traction. The 4-Hour Chef, Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged. I think I already went through it. The Power of Myth, Models by Mark Manson. There's actually just so many books, as you notice. Red Notice. Never Split the Difference, also a really big one. Getting Results the Agile Way. I do remember also quite well being a good book. Let's just see. Waldner. The Dip. The Way of Zen by Alan Watts, Darwin's Dangerous Idea, The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, The Rise of Superman by The Elements of Style, Moonwalking with Einstein, Smart Cuts, As a Man Thinketh, or Thinketh, to be exact. Why don't we learn from history? Well, this is actually a pretty good question. There's so many things that we, and by we I mean society, people, humans, we do, but we all have already done it in, maybe even the exact same way or the exact same context even, but we kind of do it again for whatever reason. And guess what? The same thing is the result, or the result is the same, and quite often not necessarily a good one. Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. Many good books here. Enchiridion by Epictetus. Enchiridion, was there another one that... What was this? Discourses by Epictetus. Let's go through Discourses. I don't know if I've gone through it already, but it's basically a few quotes. It's not that much, so let's start. I hope you can see it, and yes, you definitely can. So one of the 3 pillars of Stoic writing, Discourses, is interesting since Epictetus was a freed slave. Useful aphorisms and quotes, as always with the Stoics. Yes, definitely the case. I for sure have already gone through this one, but something that I have heard actually very often up to this point is reading the same book and actually seeing new things or reading new things, even though you're basically reading the exact same things again. But yeah. And yet, while there is only the one thing we can care for and devote ourselves to, we choose instead to care about and attach ourselves to a score of others. To our bodies, to our property, to our family, friends and slaves, and being attached to many things, we are weighed down and dragged along with them. The basic thing here is having something, having 2 different lists. A list of things we can control and a list of things we can't control. Period. And some things, he points out the body, I'm actually not quite agreeing with that. But other things, family members, being a slave or not, initially at least, it depends on the context and yada yada yada. But these are all things we cannot control. On the other hand, our opinion, the way we move, the way we act, the way we think, all those things, etc. These are all we can control. We can do something about that, and it just really makes sense to focus on that. Instead of focusing on things that we just cannot control, like the fucking weather. So complaining about the weather does not make too much sense, because it's not going to change anything anyway. Make the best use of what is in our power and treat the rest in accordance with its nature. And what is its nature, however God decides. Man, the rational animal can put up with anything except what happens to him irrational. Whatever is rational is tolerable. Which is why education has no goal more important than bringing our preconception of what is reasonable and unreasonable in alignment with nature. Because you think of yourself as no more than a single thread in the rope whose duty is to conform to the mass of people, just as a single white thread seemingly has no wish to clash with the remainder of the garment, but I aspire to be the purple string that is the garment's brilliant hem. However small a part it may be, you can still manage to make the garment as a whole attractive. Don't tell me then, be like the rest, because in that case, I cannot be the purple stripe. And this is really interesting and great advice. Because of course, when I am like everyone else, am I different? Well, of course not, because I am like everyone else. Am I something special? No, not really. Am I able, and this is kind of the point of this whole paragraph, this whole bit here, am I able to make things better by just being me, or by just being there, being existent? Well, no, because I'm just like everyone else. But when I'm this purple stripe, when I'm this additional thing, I can make everything else and everyone else better. I can improve things just by being different than everyone and anyone else. If a man objects to truths that are all too evident, it is no easy task finding arguments that will change his mind. This is proof neither of his own strength nor of his teacher's weakness. When someone caught in an argument hardens to stone, there is just no more reasoning with them. Now that you know all this, come and appreciate the resources you have, and when that is done, say, bring on whatever difficulties you like, Zeus. I have resources and a constitution that you gave me, by means of which I can do myself credit whatever happens. But no, there you sit, worrying that certain events might happen, already upset in a state about your present circumstances, so then you reproach the gods. I do really want to focus on, but no, there you sit, worrying that certain events might happen, already upset and in a state about your present circumstances. I think there is actually like, a period or a comma not there where it should. In a state about your present circumstances. What I've read, I might have also misread it, just simply as it is. You yourself are making your present worse by kind of anticipating that something will happen that has not happened yet. Just because of this, that, and the other thing. Of course, there are chances, and sometimes there are actually really high possibilities that a certain thing is going to happen, a certain negative thing is going to happen. Of course, we can make sure in the present that this is not going to be the case by, thinking most often. Like, of course, when I'm drinking today, chances are that tomorrow I'm not going to feel the best. This just inevitably For some people more, for some people less, going to be the case. On the other hand, what I want to get to is something that Seneca said, another Stoic philosopher. Paraphrasing, we are having more pain, we're feeling more pain in imagination than we do in reality. And this is the same thing. I am anticipating that something bad is going to happen, which makes me feel bad and worry and be upset and angry in the present, because I am thinking about the future, which as far as I know is just something that human beings can do, because of a certain part of the brain, or just because of our brain. We are able to see into the future or anticipate something, and also have a look in the past. But I think the first thing is more important concerning my point. Yes, being smart about your future is good. I think this is my opinion. I think it is very good to make sure that something is very unlikely to happen, something negative is very unlikely to happen, and having doing certain things and having some, how do you call them, pre something, I don't know, doesn't matter. But being too worried about the future, maybe actually being just negative or pessimistic about some things that have not happened yet, and there is also no reason why they should happen, it's not that sensical. It's just going to make your life worse, and it is making my life worse. So there's a ton of things we can do in the present, and one of those things should not be worrying about the future, about things or regarding things that that are not sensical. Be confident in everything outside the will and cautious in everything under the will's control. Which might tie into amor fati, love, faith. These are things you cannot control outside things. So it's just nature in charge. It's just faith in charge. So it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be good. But being cautious. In everything under my control, in our control, which is the mind, the opinion, the action, and all the things that we have the power of. It makes sense to be cautious. It makes sense to think about these things a bit more, because you can change it, because you can alter it, you can do something about it. So why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we take care of these things when we can? Why shouldn't we alter these things to the optimal result, to the optimal product that we would like to have when we can? Whenever externals are more important than your own integrity, to you than your own integrity, then be prepared to serve them at the remainder of your life. Well, preaching, I guess. I'm thinking about materialistic items, them being more important than whatever is inside, maybe even your health. Depends on what you think about. What I want to underline and what I want to set the focus to is more important than. I do basically not have anything against being a material girl, like really taking care of materialistic things, being, having a lot of things, having a lot of cars, just really maybe also, maybe not eating that much just so that you can afford this great car or these great clothes or whatever it might be. I don't really give a shit about that. If you want to do so, do so. If it makes you happy, then do so. I couldn't care less. But one should always be aware of the fact that you can lose these things. A car can break down if you can afford the reparations, and also maintenance and whatever it is. It's up to you, it's up to us to decide. But these things at some point it is gonna break, it's gonna lose its maybe shininess, its power over us. That's probably always gonna be like the new thing that we want to have, and that we would like to have, and so on and so forth. Don't necessarily want to say that this is not the case for inside things, things that we are in control of course. Your opinion changes, and maybe your attitude changes to the words and whatnot, so you should also be aware of that. Might also be one of the reasons why he points it out explicitly, to focus and to look after those inner things, instead of the external ones. But I guess one should, even though it is this is a huge thing to say, not having anything that you cannot afford to lose. So basically only buying things that you can afford at minimum 2 times. Might be a rule, don't want to say it is a good rule. Might be something to look for or to think about. But yeah, anyway, gonna end the episode there. I wish the best. See you soon. Bye bye.